Hello, Dan Sullivan here with Digital Tech Partners. We are a service disabled veteran owned small business. Here, I'd like to talk to you about data breaches, some steps, fundamentals, if you will, to keep your business safe. First of all, it's important to know 9 out of 10 breaches come from people, human error. That means that cybersecurity is everyone's job, including yours. Data breach, what is it? It's an incident where information is stolen from a system without the knowledge or authorization of the system's owner. A big or small organization may suffer a data breach. Everybody is open to the risk of data breach. Stolen data may involve sensitive, proprietary, or confidential information, such as credit card numbers, customer data, trade secrets, or matters of national security. So, some consequences, obvious ones, if you will: revenue loss, significant revenue loss from a security breach is very common. 29% of businesses that face a data breach end up losing revenue. Damage to your brand and reputation. A security breach can impact much more than just your short term revenue. Your long term reputation of your brand is at stake as well. And then loss of intellectual property, all of the company jewels, if you will, and your damaged reputation from that can be disastrous. In some cases, the hackers will target design strategies and blueprints. So, theft of your property. Hidden costs. Surface level costs are just the beginning. There's many other costs: legal fees, public relations, damage, investigations, and your cyber insurance premium will go up. Risk of legal action and litigation, depending on the industry that you're in, you have compliance requirements, and hopefully you're in order with those. Otherwise, you risk legal action and litigation, because the regulations these days regarding data protection legally bind organizations to ensure all steps are taken to avoid a leak. So, when it comes to personal identifiable information, this can lead to a class action lawsuit. All right, let's talk about reuse of passwords. You don't want to do that. You don't want the same password for every system. You want all the passwords to be unique. I like to use the example of today's processors do. I think it's 3 trillion instructions per second. So a password cracker program that can randomize characters, numbers, and letters, can crack passwords in 4 to 8 seconds. You can look it up on the web. There's password cracker charts out there. So use a password manager so you can use complex passwords. That's the bottom line. We mentioned a few here: LastPass, 1Password, KeePass, and use common sense. Don't use your work username password combination for personal systems. Be smart about passwords. And perhaps the most important thing is multi-factor authentication. Your employer may require this for corporate systems, but you need to do it also for your personal systems. Google has a two-step verification available. Microsoft has one as well. Essentially, you're going to log in with your primary password, and then a 6-digit code will be sent to an authenticator application in Google, or Microsoft has one as well. Or the third area of doing that is a text message to your phone. And because the hacker doesn't have access to that device, to that 6-digit code, they can't log into your account. So multi-factor authentication provides a barrier against having one username and password, and it makes access to systems very difficult through the password route. So multi-factor authentication is a mandatory these days. That's why we just spent so much time explaining it to you. Do not click any email or web links, all of these common sense practices, but it's very easy to slip up if you're on your phone, especially, and you're not really paying attention to what you're reading. And know that banks And some banks will even notify you on their login page on the web. They'll say that they will never send you any information or any requests through an email. So banks will never email you a link that asks you to enter name, social security, and password. So it's easy to find bogus emails if you look at the spelling. I use the example of I got an email from the state of Massachusetts where they cited and used those words and pretended they were a state agency. Well, anybody here in Massachusetts who has a brain and works with the state knows it's the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. People in the Commonwealth and state government here would never use the term state of Massachusetts. So right there it was fake. Everything else, though, scary, looked really authentic in the email. So be very careful. Carefully read everything. If you know it's junk, tag it and spam it. Right. So if you don't know the person, don't click the link. Basically, use common sense because phishing and spear phishing are used to collect data and propagate malware, as well as steal your personal information. So email and web links, proceed with caution. Okay, change your passwords regularly. You should do it every 90 days or sooner. Don't use the same password for long stretches of time. I talked to you about the 3 trillion instructions per second. So the ability to crack a password using automated password cracking programs is real. So when you do multi-factor and you do an intelligent password, you're going to protect against the hacker getting into your account and protect as well against company attacks. So safe Wi-Fi. You go into places, even hospital waiting rooms have free Wi-Fi, and usually it'll say that. You'll see that you're on an open, unsecured network. So don't connect. Um, and if you are connecting and you have to connect, um, fire up a VPN. You should have a VPN solution on your mobile device. So fire that up, and that will encrypt and secure the public Wi-Fi network. The other item to note here is that Wi-Fi, given the prevalence of 5G, Wi-Fi is not even needed. You may find this if you're in a section where you see 5G on your phone, for example. um, it's very fast, and you're going to find, I think, that you're not going to need to use a local Wi-Fi that's unsecured. The other big one is secure sockets layer, HTTPS. You always want to connect to a site that has that, and it also has a little lock icon up on the URL, up on the row up at the top of the screen where the address of the website is. You want HTTPS. And most sites now and most browsers will warn you that the site is unsecured and ask you to leave, which you probably want to do. Um, so always do secure socket layer. That encrypts your end-to-end communications. All right, so that's about it. Keep your firewall enabled, your antivirus up to date, all those fundamental things. Um, Always use multi-factor for logins. That's now a mandatory. So don't connect unsecured. Don't access your banking and financial information. Don't shop online or unnecessarily expose your personal identifiable information, especially if it's not secure, if it's not HTTPS with the lock icon, so it's encrypted. Don't allow file sharing on your network, and obviously don't leave your device logged in unattended in public. So keep your devices safe and consider their contents. Stay alert in public spaces. Somebody could be looking over your shoulder if you're looking at company confidential information. So you need to be aware of that. Don't you leave your devices in an unlocked vehicle. even if it's in your driveway or garage. Never leave it in plain sight. I tuck mine behind the seat. Um, Never leave a meeting, a conference room without your devices. Duh, right? I mean, how many of us have done that? Where's my phone, right? Lock your device in a safe place when not in use. Be aware that if your computer is stolen, automatic logins can make it easy for a thief to send inappropriate messages with your account, or obviously steal your personal identifiable information. So if you use password protection and require a person to log in every time the computer goes to sleep or power is down, then you'll mitigate that issue. So just pay attention to these best practices here with your devices. If you lose a device, do you have the ability to wipe its content remotely? Back up your information, of course. Every week, you should have a full backup, ideally, and every day you should have a daily backup of what's changed. If you have a breach, you should be able to roll back to the next day, the previous day, I should say, and lose just the current day. That's the best case scenario for a data breach. If you're somebody's breached your information. So if you don't have that situation, you need to see us for an incident response plan service so that we can enable that kind of recovery for you. Data protection is everything these days. So use secure cloud storage services. Keep your data in 3 places, ideally, um, and don't download it locally unless you have to if you're using a cloud application. Okay, so Find My iPhone um, and location tracking, that's a user choice thing. You may need to do that for business reasons or personal reasons, or you may not, but know that you've either set that up or not. Pay attention to location tracking. And with the new Apple iOS upgrades, tracking is a selective activity, turning it on and off. So pay attention to that as well. So best practices for patches and software updates. So Google Chrome, for example, the browser has updates frequently now. And the first thing you should do is go into About. If you do Chrome and then About Chrome, um, then you'll see your version, and it will automatically go out and see if you're running the latest version and update it. You may also get a message to restart the browser, to close it and then reopen it. But do that every day. Maybe do that twice a day if you're feeling or getting notices about breaches and there's a lot of bad actors that are being on the wire that are publicized. Do it at least once a day. First thing you do, make sure that your browser is up to date, whatever it may be. Don't use unsupported end-of-life software that doesn't get patched, because vulnerabilities will be there, and that's a doorway into your systems. Um, don't click on ads or email links. Go to the vendor sites directly. And don't do software updates if you're on an untrusted network. You shouldn't be anyway. We've told you how to control that and mitigate that with a VPN. So don't be on an untrusted network anyway. So that problem won't be there. So remember the physical world. Um, you don't drink a cup of coffee right next to your laptop in Starbucks. I've seen that happen a number of times where the coffee ends up on the keyboard and your system is toast. And if you haven't done a backup recently, you're in a bad way. Obviously, don't leave your machine on the desk if you go to use the restroom, right? And pay attention to people around you that may be viewing your screen, especially if you're talking about bank statements and you're working on credit card or utility bills, right? So get a shredder. I have one. Shred all of your important information, your healthcare information, all the things that you get in the mail. You should shred. Don't throw it in the trash. You don't know where it goes when it leaves your home. So shredders are a very important piece of the physical world of security. So don't leave them unattended. Always lock. I mean, I think I have 5 minutes on my device that it locks, and I have to re-log in. Um, Shred everything. Um, Paper is one of the primary ways people can go through the trash and get your personal identifiable information and your healthcare, your Medicare number if you're my age. So notify early. If you think a breach or other failure has occurred, talk to somebody as a security officer. If you have a CIO or a CSO, call the bank's fraud hotline. If it's a banking transaction, you should be checking your bank account multiple times a day online, and using two-factor to log in, ideally. Um, and make sure that your system is not breached. Stay secure. Get protected. Victor is here at your disposal. He's a certified, registered practitioner. There's his number, 4209. In CMMC, there's only a few of those. And I'm Dan. It's we're a service disabled veteran owned small business and digital tech partners. And reach out and we can button you up and get you protected. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.